Hello friends, my name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of Enlightened Medicine, Your Power to Get Well Now, among other books. And of course, usually my YouTube videos are geared toward a subject on one of the books, like Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, or The Wheel of Healing with Ayurveda, or How to Run a Successful Yoga Business. But in this video, it encompasses all of the books that I write about, a lot of the topics that I do write about, and something that came to me because of comments on the YouTube channel, among other things. And so it really tugged at my heart, and I thought, you know what, I need to address this because I do talk about spirituality in a lot of my books. In fact, all of my books mention spirituality. And because of the comments, it led me to this mini video series. And I think this particular topic will have more than one video. If I talk passionately about this and this video goes on a little bit long, I will cut it into 2 or 3 different videos. Rest assured, I'm not gonna put on a 40-minute video. I promise you. But also, I wanna open up the forum to invite you to leave your comments below and your questions below, because this is a really passion-driven topic. So what are we talking about? We're talking about spirituality, religion, God, and other taboo words around this subject. So let's start with spirituality and why I started this mini video series and the comments that I was getting, and why I felt compelled in my heart to talk about this subject in particular. So as most of you know, I'm a practitioner of mind-body health. I'm an alternative healthcare practitioner. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner. I teach yoga, I teach meditation, among other types of healing. So as such, typical alternative medical practices encompass spirituality as a part of healing, which is very different from allopathic or Western medicine. So that is the major difference, that allopathic or Western medicine is very scientifically based, and empirically based, of course. Western medicine works on statistics, it works on hardcore evidence in order to move forward with a treatment plan. Whereas alternative methods of healing usually encompass another aspect, which is spirituality, among others, of course. That's not the only thing. But spirituality is that other aspect that other healing practices also include. So the comments that I was getting, and this is not only on YouTube, it's also in book reviews. And one thing, it kind of like tugged at my heartstrings because I think the subject of spirituality is really misunderstood. I think it's very tied closely to religion, and a lot of people look at spirituality and religion as being one thing, when in reality, it's not one thing. Spirituality on its own is a broad topic, whereas religion is a specific topic in the broad topic of spirituality. So religion fits into spirituality, but spirituality is a much broader scope, is a much broader topic. So we're going to discuss that too. So some of the comments that came to me were like, well, I don't consider yoga to be a spiritual practice. It's just good for the body. It's a very physical practice. Some of the other comments that I had were like, I'm not a Bible thumper, therefore I don't believe in God or spirituality to heal addictions. And some of the other comments were like, I don't believe in God, and I believe you can heal from addictions. I think you should rely on yourself. First of all, in the topic of addictions, let's just talk about that in particular. And I'm specifically interested in addiction recovery and the study of spirituality in addiction recovery, because I interviewed a lot of alcoholics for my book, Help, I Think My Loved One is an Alcoholic, and all of them across the board, 100%, no fallacy, 100% of the alcoholics I interviewed in recovery who had long-term recovery, meaning more than 2 years in recovery consistently with no relapses, they 100% relied on spirituality as a means toward recovery. I did not find any alcoholics in recovery for more than 2 years who did not rely on spirituality as a means of recovery. So 100%, that's pretty hardcore evidence. And I would be hard pressed to find, and if you find someone, please let me know. Leave a comment below. But please, if you find someone who has been in recovery for more than 2 years, no relapses from any addiction, and who does not rely on any form of spirituality whatsoever, and they're in recovery. So recovery for addictions means that not only are they abstaining from the substance or substances, and that they haven't switched addictions to another thing. So if you have recovered from alcohol and you go to gambling, that's not recovery. If you go from alcohol to overeating, that's not recovery. If you go from drugs to a sex addiction, that's not recovery. So first of all, abstaining from all addictive behaviors that are negative. Now, if you go towards something like meditation or yoga or running, yes, that can become an addiction as well. However, when you do a healthy practice, yes, it can be addictive, but it's not harming you or harming anybody else. So we're looking at those non-destructive behavioral patterns that have changed. And we're also looking at character flaws that have changed and transformed, and that is recovery. So you can be a dry drunk, meaning you've not touched a drop of alcohol in 2 years or more, or you've not touched a drug in 2 years or more, but you still have those personality flaws that caused the addiction in the first place. So what are some of those personality flaws? You're looking at like self-destructive behavior, egoism, like someone who's super egotistic and very self-centered, but in an obsessive way, kind of like everyone is out to get me and nobody sees my point of view, or really arrogant and mistreating others, the obsessive compulsive lying that is associated with addiction, the hardcore denial that there's anything wrong with me, everything is wrong with everybody else. Now, you don't have to be an addict to have those personality flaws. It's just that studies have shown that addicts tend to have many of these coupled together, and that is the addictive personality that does come out. So recovery is that you're overcoming those personality flaws, and it's a process. It doesn't mean it happens overnight, but it's a process that you're overcoming those personality flaws in order to not only gain sobriety, but gain sanity. And so that is where long-term recovery comes in. Without spirituality, I've never seen it happen. Maybe it has happened, but I've never seen it happen. I've never talked to anyone in long-term recovery who says they have zero spiritual practices. I've never seen it. So 0 relapses, 0. So let's talk a little bit about spirituality versus religion. So spirituality in and of itself means something that's beyond the physical. So we have this physical body, which is the shell. So it's our physical body. We're born into this physical body. We know soon after we're born in this physical body that we're going to die someday. So some of us die within 75 years, which is the average lifespan. Some of us die within 40 years. Some of us die within 95 years. But we know we have an expiration date with this physical body. So spirituality is anything beyond the physical body. It's something else. So it could be Mother Nature. It could be good luck. It could be what some people refer to as karma. It could be God. It could be a higher power. There are many things that spirituality could be. Some people consider that their yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong practice is their spirituality. Some people consider that running and exercising daily, like that is my sense of spirituality, where I feel that I transcend this physical body into another realm where I feel fantastic and I feel one with the earth and I feel one with nature when I'm running through the forest or running alongside the seashore and I see the sunrise and I see the sunset. And it's that connection to the universe that can bring about that sense of connection and oneness, because our physical presence here on earth and our ego that kind of says like, I got to go at this all alone. The ego side to us says, I am separate. I am separate from, I'm different from you. I'm separate from you. You're different from me and you're separate from me. But spiritual connection and that sense of spirituality brings about connectedness. It brings about oneness. It brings about, I can have more love and compassion to you because I know that we're in this journey together, that you are not alone and I'm not alone, but we're together in all of this. And so that is what spirituality is. It's a sense of connectedness, a sense of oneness, a sense of universality. It's a sense of love, compassion, peace, serenity, joy. And that is what a spiritual practice is and what it brings to you. Religion, on the other hand, is something, an institution that was created by man in order to practice spirituality in community. So religion was founded based on tradition, community, bringing people together to worship and have a practice that worships the same God or deity. But it's an institution with rules and regulations and hierarchy. Now, one of the things we need to remember when it comes to religion is that religion is put together by human beings. It's put together by human beings in these human bodies. It's put together by human beings with these egos. It's put together by human beings that have flaws, that have opinions, that have differences of opinion. And therefore, religions tend to be less than ideal or less than perfect. Now, that doesn't make them wrong. I'm not bashing anybody's religion. I went through the gamut of feelings surrounding religion throughout the years, and I've come to the point at which I've come to acceptance of religion. I believe that religion can be a really beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful community to bring people together for a greater cause, to bring people together so they feel that sense of connectedness with one another that they wouldn't otherwise have. It can be really lonely on this earth, and it can be lonely when you don't feel connected to other people. And religion can give you that connection that you're seeking. But when you're comparing religion to spirituality, they're two very different things. Spirituality is broad, it's open, it's wide, it's vast. Religion is a little bit more constricted because it's bound by human rules. It's bound by certain rituals and rules and traditions and things that are more man-made. Now, the scriptures or the sacred texts of different religions, of course, there's a difference there, right? The texts themselves tend to have a more spiritual quality, a transcendent quality. But of course, it's human beings that interpret those texts. So do you see the difference there? So when somebody says to me, yeah, I'm not religious or I'm not spiritual, I don't believe in all that God stuff, it's like you're putting God in a box, or you're putting spirituality in a box with barriers around it and saying, I'm discarding this whole aspect that could be opened to me because I don't like one piece of it. And you know, it's like anything in life, right? So if you have children can be a joy to raise, and children can be horrible to raise, depending on the circumstances and the situation and the age and the development stage. It can be such a joy to have a child and just raise that child and have laughter and joy. But along with that child and child rearing also comes tears and strife and difficulties and hardships and personality conflicts. There's just so much of the two sides that comes with child rearing. Marriage is the same way. With marriage, you can have bliss and joy and connectedness and love and passion and affection and all those great things, but you can also have loneliness and misunderstandings and strife and discord and growth rates that are different, just causing you to go in different directions. So do you understand that when you refute a subject like spirituality, you're refuting the good as well as the ugly that can be? It always confuses me when someone says like, oh, well, I just believe we're physical beings and we're just meant to be here on our own. And if you don't do something, it's because you don't have enough willpower. And so let's put things into a little bit of a perspective here. I assume that you're not 100 years old. Maybe there are 100 years old people that are on YouTube. I don't know. But let's assume you're anywhere between 18 to 85. Okay, so let's take that number. So you're anywhere between 18 to 85, and that means that in this entire universe, the great big universe that has no boundaries, has no beginnings and has no ends, because we don't know where the beginning starts and we don't know where the ending is. We just know that the universe goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's orchestrated perfectly, right? So the planets don't necessarily collide with each other. They tend to stay in orbit. And the changing of the seasons, we don't have control over that either. It just happens. The seasons change and we go from winter to spring to summer to fall, and it just happens. And then time moves, right? Time moves in a certain direction. Now, is time linear or is time something different? We really don't know exactly, but according to us, we think that it's linear, right? So time seems to be moving forward. All these things happen without our direct intervention, right? And then humans have existed who knows how long, right? With some people say modern humans have existed for about 200,000 years. Some people have found Homo sapiens skeletons that are like between 5 and 7 million years old. We don't know exactly how long humans have been here. We have speculation, but we really don't know how long humans have actually been here. So taking this into perspective, taking the great big grand universe that has no beginnings and has no ends, and taking into account the fact that humanity has been around for a really long time, how could you believe that in the 18 to 85 years that you've been on this planet, as one individual, as one grain of sand, a speck in the entire vastness of the universe, how can you expect that you know it all? That you know it all, that I know enough that if I don't have willpower to make this happen, and I need to make my life happen and make things work, and if I don't, then nobody else will. Right? And that's a really ego-centered way to look at things. It's a very self-centered, universe-centered around you way to look at things. So it's like you're the center of the universe, and if you don't make things happen, then nothing's going to turn around. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that someone that's so young, so whether you're 85 or 18, you're so young in the whole perspective of the universe that you have one perspective. You have a very individual perspective. You're just one grain of sand in this entire vastness of the entire universe. How is it that you know everything there is to know about how the universe operates and works? I don't know. I would say that in my 47 years that I've been on this planet, I know virtually nothing. I know absolutely nothing. If I were to compare to the vastness of the entire universe, I think I might know something, but I really don't know anything. So I'm barely in existence at 47 years into this timelessness of the entire universe. So how could I know everything there is to know? It just doesn't make any sense. That being said, let me give you an example of what it's like to be spiritually based and living your life from a spiritual perspective versus living your life from a very physical, hard evidence, I got to do this myself perspective. Okay? I got this great example today. Something happened to me. It's been kind of happening over the last 3 weeks or so. So as you know, I'm an author and I have some of my books published independently, meaning an indie author, you self-publish. And I've self-published through one of the platforms is called Amazon CreateSpace. So that's one of the platforms. And in this platform, in this account that I've had since 2014, in January of 2018, this account got hacked, meaning that my email was changed and I didn't do anything to change it. It just got changed. And I don't know what it got changed to, but in order to get back into my account, I had to call CreateSpace and say, look, somebody hacked into my account. I don't know what this is. I believe it's on your end because none of my other accounts have been hacked. I use the same email for a lot of my accounts. It's been hacked. They're like, no. It doesn't even look like somebody went in and changed it. I'm like, it changed. So they reset it. Happens 2 weeks later, same thing. And they said, okay, we'll open up an inquiry. And I said, okay, that's fine, but please open up an inquiry because I can tell that somebody on the back end, somehow they're getting into the account. No one has access to my passwords. No one has access to my computer. I work from home. I mean, sometimes I work in a cafe, but I change the cafes that I work at. So it's not like someone can hack into the system where I am at. It's not a work server, you know, so I don't know. Well, today what happened is I got a notification that the royalty payment information had changed. Sure enough, I log into my account and it's somebody in China, maybe? It's some Asian country because the name was an Asian name, but it had the payments routing to a bank account in the United States. I call up CreateSpace and I said, look, somebody hacked into my account. This is the third time this month. Now they're trying to get my payments. And so they're doing a deep inquiry. So of course I'm upset. Of course I'm angry and mad. And of course I don't want this to happen. I don't want somebody taking my royalty payments. Either they put in another inquiry and I said, please expedite this. And I'm thinking about this. I'm putting this into perspective and saying, yeah, this sucks. And so from a very physical perspective, so from an earthly, physical, egocentric perspective, I could say like, wow, why is this happening? There are so many bad people on the planet. I need to take charge. I need to do this. And I need to make sure my account never gets hacked into again. And what can I do? I'm going to wreak havoc on this company and maybe sue this company, you know. I could go there, like I could go into all these scenarios on how I can take charge and take control and make sure this never happens again. I could do that. If somebody is hacking into CreateSpace's servers from a remote place like China, there's really nothing I can do to rectify that. And there might not even be anything that CreateSpace can do to rectify that, because somebody has figured out how to circumvent my password and email. They found out how to hack into the system beyond that, because no one's changing my password. The password is the same and no one can really get the password because I've changed the password several times. Nobody is keying into my computer. I know you can track keying in, but nobody has access to my computer. I could go there. Like I could be really upset and angry. And so what's this gonna do to me? It's going to create anger, frustration, cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, all these bad chemicals in the body that are going to make me anxious and depressed and angry and all of these negative emotions that I could be feeling because this happened. And it's something that's really beyond my control. Like I can call CreateSpace and ask them to please secure my account, make sure this doesn't happen again, change the payment information. I can even change my email and password again. But beyond that, there's really nothing that I can do. So that's one end of things. The other end of things is that from a spiritual standpoint, what I can do to rectify this situation so that I can be at peace is I can say, God, can you please handle this? Take this burden from me. I am not powerful. You are ever powerful. You can send your angels to come and protect this account. God, you are my vindicator. You see what is right and what is wrong. You see what is happening here. Please handle this for me. And then I'm at peace. And then I just know I have this sense of peacefulness. Like I know everything's going to be okay. I know that everything will be handled in divine timing and I don't have to worry about it. It lifts the burden from me and puts it out there to my higher power. And it's such a relief. Then I don't have to live in anxiety. I don't have to live in depression. I don't have to live in this sense of turmoil and constantly wondering and trying to control the entire universe because, frankly, it's not mine to control anyway. So that is the difference. That's the difference between embracing your spiritual side, embracing your spiritual power, and then trying to do things on your own and trying to just deny that entire side of yourself. And people who don't embrace their spirituality, I have found in my life, I've found that they're among the most unhappy people on the planet. They don't have hope. They're extremely anxious. They're fearful. They suffer from more diseases. They tend to be skeptical of other people. They tend to be more lonely. They tend not to have nourishing friendships and relationships on a very deep level. And so it might be worth exploring. It just might be worth disconnecting the word religion from the word spirituality if that's the one thing that is holding you back. Another thing that you can do is spend time in nature, like disconnect from media, disconnect from your phone, disconnect from anything that is connecting you to like a device, and go spend time in nature. A day, a weekend, in silence, and just watch, observe nature. We've lost that connectedness to nature. We've lost that connectedness to the purity of what goes on each and every day on this planet without us directly controlling it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for hearing my rant about spirituality, religion, God, and other taboo words. I'd like to continue this conversation. Please leave comments below. Subscribe to my channel. Share this video with friends, family, and your dog. Please support me on Patreon. I don't get paid for doing these videos. www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.